Alright, welcome back to the second video of this week, April 6th through 10th. Today is a review of all the area we have done so far. So if you've decided to take that extra vacation and didn't want to get on Google Classroom, or you're like, Miss Webb, this is so lame, I get it. It's whatever. I'm not offended. But today's your lucky day. I am doing a quick crash course. Well, it's not really that quick. But I'm doing a crash course on all the area we've done so far. So first things first, there are some variables you need to know. If it is a big A, that stands for area. If it is a little b, that is base. A lowercase h is height. S stands for side. L is length. So that means that W is width. If you have a lowercase b with a 1 next to it, that means base number 1. Lowercase b with a 2 is base number 2. R stands for radius. M is measure of angle. A is apothem. And finally, a capital P is perimeter. These are all the variables that are used in our formulas. I'm not going to go in depth with them because I did on my other videos. So if you don't know what I'm talking about and you don't think this video has helped you, you need to make sure you go back to the other videos. We are now going to go through all of the formulas that we have covered so far with area. I'm going to leave those variables there to the left so you can still see them. But like I said, I won't be going in depth as I have in my other videos. So first up, we covered triangles, and I do have two formulas for it. They're the same formula, it's just a preference choice. The first is that area is equal to 1/2 base times height. You can use that one, or you can also use area is base times height divided by 2. They both will get you the same answer. It's just whichever one you decide to use, whichever one works best for you. The next one is squares. You should know the formula for the area of a square. You have area is equal to either the sides squared, because all sides are the same, or area is equal to base times height. That's the area for parallelograms, and you should know that a square is a parallelogram. Rectangles also have two that you can use. Area is length times width, or area, of course, is base times height, since they are parallelograms. Next, you do have your parallelograms, which is just area is base times height. We then got into trapezoids. So area is equal to, you have 1/2 of base 1 plus base 2 times the height, or area is equal to base 1 plus base 2, and then you divide those by 2 and multiply it by the height. Remember, on these ones where I give you 2, it's your choice. You don't have to use both of them. They'll both get you the same answer. For circles, you have area is equal to pi. Remember, pi is a number. It's not a variable. Pi times the radius squared. For sectors of circles, you have area is equal to m degrees, so whatever the measure of the angle is, divided by 360 degrees, times that area for a circle, pi r squared. And then regular polygons is what we did yesterday. So area is equal to 1/2 of the apothem times the perimeter, or area is equal to apothem times perimeter divided by 2. So these are your variables to know, as well as your formulas. If you don't know them, if you don't know how to use them, if they're completely foreign to you, go back and watch the videos, because I'm sure you missed at least one. Alright, so problems 1 and 2 are triangle examples. Remember, your formula for a triangle, area is equal to base times height divided by 2. When I look at number 1, I have these 2 tick marks, which means those 2 lengths are equal. So if the right one is 3, the left one is 3. I now need to find out what my base is. My base is the whole bottom. So I add them together, 3 plus 3, and that gives me my base is 6. But I need to find my height here. And you can do the Pythagorean theorem, 3 squared plus b squared equals 5 squared, because this is a right triangle. But you should also notice this is a 3, 4, 5 right triangle, so you don't have to solve it. So I know my height here is 4. When I plug this in, you have area is equal to my base, 6, times my height, 4 divided by 2. 6 times 4 gives me 24 divided by 2. So the area of this triangle is 12. Number 2 is a word problem that requires you to work backwards, fill in what you know, and then solve for what you don't. So the area of a triangle is 36. So big A is 36. The base is 12 inches. So little b is 12. What is the height? We do not know the height. We're trying to find it. So we take our formula, A equals base times height divided by 2, and you plug in this information that you know. So 36 is equal to, my b is 12, so 12h divided by 2. You've done plenty of this. You turn the left side over 1, and you cross multiply. 36 times 2 gives me 72, and that is equal to 12h. 12h times 1 just gives you 12h. Your last step here is to get h by itself, so you divide by whatever is in front of it, which happens to be 12. When I do that on the right, it cancels out, and it leaves me with h to be 6. I look at my problem one more time. I'm asked what is the height. I found the height is 6, so I am done. Alright, so I tell you the next one are parallelogram examples. Remember, your parallelogram area is equal to base times height. When I look at this first example, I have this triangle drawn on the outside. These triangles, there's a little bit of confusion, are just used to help find your height. They're not added into like the base or something like that. So my area here, the base is just 8. You do not add 8 and 5 because 5 is a dashed line. If it was solid, then you would add them. So 8 times my height is the height of that triangle, which is 12. So when I do this, you do 8 times 12, 8 times 12, and you end up with your area being 96. These ones are more simple when you have one that looks like number 3. Number 4, I tell you the area of a rectangle is 36. If the base is 12, what is the height? So I'm going to go ahead and use that area equals base times height. You could use length times width. I chose this one because it does use the words base and height in it, and it just keeps everything straight. So I know my area is 36, so that big A is replaced with 36. The base is replaced with 12, and I'm looking for h. This is just like solving any algebra problem. You divide both sides by 12. 12 cancels out on the right side, and on the left, I'm left with 36 divided by 12, which is 3. So I know my height is 3. Read the question one more time. It asks, what is the height? I found the height, so I am done. Number 5 is where I give you a parallelogram diagram, and then I give you some of the links that you have to label. So I tell you from A to B is 10, from B to C is 6, and from C to D is 10. So I need my base and I need my height for the parallelogram formula. A equals B times H. I can find my base already just from this. I know the bases are on the bottom usually, but in a parallelogram, sides across from each other are equal. So I know these two sides are equal. But to find the entire length, I do have to add 10 plus 6. So I know my base of my parallelogram is 16. So I now need to find my height. In order to find my height, I have to find the height of that triangle. I have 6, I have 10, and I have a blank. If you want to use the Pythagorean theorem, that is fine. But I'm trying to get you to recognize these 3, 4, 5 triangles. If you look at it, 6 is 3 times 2, and 10 is 5 times 2. So that means the height should be 4 times 2, which is 8. So the height of my parallelogram is 8. When I set it up, my area is equal to, I have 16 times 8. You can go ahead and plug that into your calculator, and when you do, you should find that the area of this parallelogram is 128. Trapezoids can be difficult if you don't know what you're doing. Remember, your formula is A equals, and I'm going to use base 1 plus base 2 divided by 2 times the height. So in the first problem, the top base, my base 1 is 10. My base 2, I take 3, and I'm going to add it to 13 because they're both the solid line. There's no dashed line. So I know that my base 2 is 16, and the last thing I need to find is my height. So when I look at this triangle, I know it's a 3, 4, 5 triangle. So my height is 4. I have everything I need for my formula, so I can start plugging in. When I do that, I have my area is equal to base 1 is 10 plus base 2 is 16. I'm going to divide that by 2 and multiply it by my height, which is 4. So then 10 plus 16 gives me 26 divided by 2 times 4. I can simplify 26 divided by 2 down to 13. And again, we're going to multiply by 4, which is your last step. So my area of number 6, that trapezoid, ends up being 52. Number 7 is still a trapezoid, but it does have a couple more issues with it. When I look, I'm missing part of my base. But this right here is a rectangle. So if this top part is 9, I know the bottom part is 9. So my base 1 here is 9. My base 2, I take 9 plus 6, and that gives me 15. And my height is already labeled there as 8. So again, you can start plugging in. The area is base 1, 9 plus 15 divided by 2 times 8. 9 plus 15 does give me 24 divided by 2 times 8. It ends up being 12 times 8. And when I'm done, I know my area of this trapezoid is 96. Alright, the next section is circles. Remember, circles is area equals pi r squared. So I have to have my radius. When I look at number 8, though, I'm given a line that goes straight through the middle from side to side. That means it is my diameter. And I told you in the video, diameter is 2r. So 12 equals 2r. Divide both sides by 2. And I find out that my radius is 6. So now I'm ready to go. I can plug it in. My area is pi times 6 squared. I know that 6 squared gives me 36 pi. So if I ask you for the exact answer, you're going to leave it just like this, 36 pi. But if I ask you for an approximation, that's when you plug it in and give me the decimal. And when you do that, you should get 113.10. Problem 9, I'm asking you to work backwards from the formula A equals pi r squared to find the diameter. So first I know that the area is 121 pi, and it's equal to the formula pi r squared. Remember, pi is a number, so I'm going to divide both sides by pi. When I do that on the right, it cancels out, and I'm left with r squared. And when I do that on the left, it also cancels out, and I'm left with 121. I need to go ahead and find r, so I'm going to take the square root of both sides. When I do that, I find out that r is 11, because 11 times 11 is 121. But I asked you here to find the diameter. Remember, I gave you this formula. Diameter is 2 times the radius. So diameter is 2 times 11. So for this circle, the diameter would be 22. Sectors of circles are the bigger formula. It's just a plug and chug type thing. You need to find your variables and just plug into your calculator. So remember, my formula says that the area is equal to the measure of the angle divided by 360 times pi r squared. So number 10, I know my measure of the angle is 108. Remember, I did ask you to find the area of the shaded sector. I know my radius is 6, and that is everything I need to find the area. So let's plug it in. Area is equal to my m, which is 108, divided by 360 times, I'm going to go ahead and do the r squared first, so 36 pi. At this point, you can go ahead and plug it all into your calculator. You can do 108 divided by 360. It may give you a decimal back, and that's fine. And we're going to multiply that by 36 pi. When I do that, my exact answer is 54 pi divided by 5. It may not give you this answer, and that's totally fine. But your decimal answer is what I'm more concerned about. You should end up with 33.93 as your area. Alright, so number 11 is a little different. My measure of my angle is not 28 because that is not the shaded side. You need to remember that in a circle there are 360 degrees. So I'm going to do 360 minus 28 to find my angle. When I do that, 360 minus 28 gives me 332, which is my m. My radius is 11, so now I can plug into the formula. Area is equal to 332 divided by 360 times, remember I do the r squared first, so 121 pi. In my calculator, it's going to give me an exact answer. In yours, it won't, and that's totally fine. The decimal is fine here. So 332 divided by 360 times 121 pi gives me 10043 pi divided by 90. And the approximate answer is 350.57. Alright, so the last two examples are regular polygons, which is what we just did. So area is equal to the apothem times perimeter divided by 2. So number 12, I tell you it's a regular dodecagon. And remember, dodec means 12. So A, my apothem is 12, and my side length is 18. So my perimeter, I take that side length, I multiply it by the number of sides, which I found to be 12. So 18 times 12 gives me 216 for my perimeter. I can now go ahead and start plugging stuff in. Area equals 12 times 216 divided by 2. 12 times 216 gives me 2592. And your last step is to divide that by 2. So I know my area of this is 1296. Now number 13, I ask you to do a regular pentagon. Remember, pent is 5. I know my apothem is 3 root 3. My side length is 7 root 3. So my perimeter, I take my side length 7 root 3 and I multiply it by the number of sides, which is 5. I can only multiply the 5 and the 7 together. So my perimeter is 35 root 3. So then to go into the formula, area equals my apothem, which is 3 root 3, times my perimeter, which is 35 root 3. I can multiply what's similar, so 3 times 35 gives me 105. And remember, root 3 times root 3 gives you the square root of 9, which is just 3. We're still going to divide it by 2, so 105 times 3 gives me 315. And your last step is to divide that by 2. So your area of this regular pentagon would be 157.5. There is no Google Slides assignment for this review. I wanted to do a review before we head into tomorrow's assignment or tomorrow's notes. It does require you to know all of the area. So if you don't know some of these, you need to go back over videos. Otherwise, stay tuned until the next video.